Hey guys, Bowserkins here. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've wanted to do the last few days, and that is to react to the Mythic Progenitor tier set models from patch 9.2. I went into length on my Twitch stream with my reaction to the initial tier sets that were announced in kind of the 9.2 reveal trailer that Blizzard released as part of their media package. And today I wanted to look at the Mythic sets, right? Because a lot of the skepticism of the original um, I'm assuming what will be normal sets for the classes. They seemed a little bit bland, right? So let's go ahead and take a look here at the mythic sets. And just for context, I'm mainly playing Druid and Death Knight this expansion, so I'm specifically interested in those the most. But we're going to react to each of them here. So we're going to start with the Death Knight. And overall, I mean, I would say that the set looks pretty cool. Um, I like the helmet. The horns pointing down towards the bottom is I think something that they've done before in other sets, but I like the switch up, right? Because a lot of helmets tend to um, have things that shoot up straight up towards the sky, different things like that, which look cool. So them doing this like very horizontal approach to the horns is pretty cool. I think overall the set's okay. Um, the actual coloration of the set, although still I'm sure fitting the theme of the new zone, is not very Death Knight esque. It's cool that they threw in that skull animation into the helm, but overall, this is probably going to be looked at as one of the more un-Death Knight esque looking sets that we've seen. It's probably right up there with like the Firelands Death Knight set um, that people meme over all the time. It basically looked like a mosquito. All right, moving on to the Demon Hunter. Um, Pretty cool initially. At face value, I'd say this set is okay. It's definitely different from what demon hunters are used to. I'm sure that demon hunters will just appreciate having more transmog options in terms of their class identification. That's specifically due to the fact that they're only a class that's been, the class that's been out for 5 years basically, right? Not a lengthy amount of time behind demon hunters. Although a lot of people who are very passionate about demon hunters, um, who played their characters a ton, have plenty of leather to go back to and farm up in old transmog runs. But this will be, I'm sure, a welcome addition for some folks. Overall, I think the set's cool. Obviously, it's getting carried by the shoulders. Um, the belt seems a little bland. I want to see what this looks like in game when it goes live on 9.2. If it has a cool animation to its movement, because right now it just looks like one of those things. It's gonna just hang down and not be too exciting. The boots are kind of cool. I like this little feathering, this little bit of fur coming off the kneecaps. Overall, an okay set. Uh, in most of it, except one egregious area, and I think that's the helmet. Right? I don't know what they were thinking on this one. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty rough. Obviously, it's angled, which makes it worse. I mean, it's difficult to make helmets for demon hunters to an extent because you've got the horns there, but this is a complete miss. Putting things over the eyes is one thing, but if you don't have something cool to replace it, um, I mean, this is more or less just like some bland, ordinary metal piece over the eyes with a gem in front of it. Very boring. And I anticipate a lot of demon hunters are probably going to try to make something else work with the set for the helmet piece, or just omit the helmet piece altogether, which is something I do with many of my transmog saves. Just omit the helmet, some of the builds. All right, on to Druid now. I would say this set is probably plagued by the same issue as the Demon Hunter. The helmet itself is weird looking, right? It's got the antlers look, which I respect. Obviously, it's cool when you have, um, something that implements the druidic antler type style into. I mean, harkens back to like the old Molten Core set, right? For druids, the OG set with the antlers. Um, this is the Zereth Mortis take on that. But again, if you're going to replace the eyes with something, it's got to be cool. And this does not fit the description of cool, right? Everything else about the set, though, I really like. I love the implementation of the different kinds of furs and the textures. I mean, there's tons of 3D texture in this set that makes it really cool. I think that the actual robe is extremely bland. I mean, they could have done something a little bit more druidic with it, but it looks very um I get it, it's from the Zereth Mortis zone, but this does not strike me as a druid robe. This looks like something that a priest would be wearing. So a shame there. It would also be really cool if they stopped taking this approach of making druid transmogs robes without a pants option. And they should really be doing that for all classes, right? Priest, I guess you could probably make an argument. Mage, possibly, but I mean, don't these people wear pants? You know, like give people the option of just having the chest piece and then a pair of pants that fit the set as well. So Druid overall pretty cool. Helmet extremely disappointing, and robe is kind of bland. All right, Hunter. Um, this one's okay. It's difficult to tell what these are going to look like. Obviously, I mean we're going through this this together, and it's difficult for me to understand what this is going to look like in game because of these different particles that are coming off of this. If these are moving around, I mean, it kind of looks like they will be moving around. If there's a lot of animation in the sets, it's going to make them a lot better. And this Hunter one is probably got a lot of potential to be the best. The scales are okay. They've done this before with transmog sets. I would have liked to see a little bit more color implemented in the scales. But again, fitting with the Zereth Mortis scheme, it seems like the whites, the reds, the yellows are going to be fairly prominent in all of these sets, right? This gray color coming in with a lot of the fabric, but not a whole lot to say. It's like this is your. It's a very average screenshot of the actual set, right? But if the animation is on point, like if these waves of light are moving around, a lot of people are going to be interested in this. And it's certainly undeniably a hunter-esque type. I mean, they nailed the class theme of the set, but hopefully they don't disappoint with the animations on the set. All right, on to the mage. Um, Mage is, I think, carried by the shoulders. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more 3D implementation on the set. Maybe we'll see something better in game when 9.2 comes out. Some of these sets will have kind of an inaccurate depiction because they're incomplete in their art. And I think Mage is one of the sets where they can improve upon the most. We'll have to see how this goes. Right now, very bland, getting absolutely carried by these crystal pyres coming off of the shoulders. It's going to also be interesting how this helmet works on some races, specifically things like Tauren, Draenei, stuff like that. Very bulky characters. How how meaty is this neck shield going to be? Because it tends to be pretty meaty on the beef characters, on the old beefcakes. All right, so Monk. This was actually one of the more surprising sets that I saw. The helmet does not seem to work. I mean, we're sensing a theme with a lot of the helmets in these tier sets. They're not necessarily working all that great. But this one seems especially egregious. It does not seem to fit the rest of the set. Even though I will say it's not bad, right? It's a cool design concept. We're gonna have to see with this glowing light the animation that looks like in game. Um, but early on, with the initial reactions, this set is really cool. With the helmet being a question mark in terms of the cohesion between the rest of the set. Other than that, though, I mean, I like the face shield. It's not something they do all the time for Monk, and generally when they do it for Monk, it doesn't look good. So keep in mind if you are playing something like a Tauren, an Orc. I mean, there's several. A dwarf might have some issues with this. I mean, the face shields can at times not look good, um, and especially with Taurens, right? But the necklace here, this big 3D texture, really cool. I like the shoulders. It plays in with the necklace, obviously, with the fabric coming off of the ends. Very cool. This has a very plate esque feel to it. Once you get down to, the thing like the arm guards here. I mean, this is undeniably a plate looking setup here. It even has the spikes on it. These look like plate boots, right? Even the plate looking um, quadricep guards right here, right? Or thigh guards, I guess is what you would call them. But yeah, I mean, overall a pretty cool set. It's definitely different from anything they've done with Monk so far, and for that regard, it looks pretty cool. I would assume that a lot of Beefcake brewmasters are going to want to try this out just to kind of fit the theme of their character and the overall gameplay of it. This is definitely a I'm a tank looking type of monk transmog. So pretty cool for the monk. For paladin, I think this is one of the more better ones here. I will say that when I first saw this from the initial concept art, I didn't like it as much. Um, but now that I can see it from different angles, I mean, obviously the helmet is the first good one we've seen so far, right? An absolute home run of a helmet. The Death Knight one was okay. It was, I think, a little bit forced because they were trying to bring something associated with Death Knight into it. You got the shoulders, you got this helmet, right? But Paladin really nails it, right? Because they're not forcing anything here. This is one of the more Paladin esque sets that I've seen. You've got this face shield, it's clearly metal, it's going to protect you well, but then you've got the robe cover over the top, right? And that's really important to kind of convey that this guy is a Paladin. He's not a priest, he's not a warrior, he's somewhere in between. You know what I mean? Cool shoulders. I like the textures in the back. We'll see what this animation looks like. But overall, pretty cool. I like the belt. Really, I just like everything about the set. I want to see what these shoes look like on all the classes. Um, they are definitely a standout element of the design. I mean, it looks like you've got giant metal clown shoes on. But I mean, if that's the biggest criticism of the set, it's going to be a home run. This is kind of a set, though, I will say. Hopefully, they implement some kind of like neutral looking cloak that can actually fit onto this transmog set because this is one of those sets that is kind of missing a cloak. It needs something falling off the back of it to really put it together. And for people like me who don't wear cloaks ever, I might actually consider wearing a cloak if I'm playing this and using this transmog. Okay, now the preset here. Um, with most presets, I always have the same criticism that they try too hard to make it look specifically like your priest, and it tends to box them in and make presets um, some of the more bland transmog sets throughout the history of World of Warcraft. 17 years that they've been in the game of creating tier sets at this point. Well, omit the last few years. Um, this one is okay, right? I will say that they're making a bit of a bold statement with the shoulders. Anytime that, because a lot of the time when they're trying to make something look priestly, they try to make up for the fact that it's really just a robe with a hood every single time by implementing something that is unique in the shoulder slot, right? And that is not the case here. I mean, these shoulders are very bland and straightforward. Um, the helmet is probably the most striking aspect of this set. It's got this thing that goes over the eyes with the gem on the top of it. It's not covering the face egregiously like the Druid and Demon Hunter sets were, like where you can't see the eyes at all. Like with this, it's covering up. It's basically smushed up against your face. It's horrific every time I look at it. Or this one where again it's smushed up against your face, kind of. You can kind of see the face, but the design of it is awful, right? The priest thing, I think, is probably the preferred way of executing this strategy. And I like the little, especially if this is like changing colors or if it's glowing or whatever, that'd be pretty cool. But other than that, it's just a robe, right? I do like the 3D textures on the side, though. It's something that the mage set was missing. If we contrast this to the other cloth set here, you don't have the 3D texture. Hopefully, they do something about that before 9.2 comes out. But I like the 3D texture on the side for the priest. Pretty cool. Overall, pretty average set, but um, it's distinguishable. And I do like this coloring texture on the shoulders. Hopefully, they refine this so that this is a little bit more vibrant. And I'm sure they were. And it looks like there's some kind of animation coming off of the sides of the shoulders as well. I can't tell what that is, but if it's like maybe some kind of glowing wing type thing going on, that'll be really cool. Really excited to see what that looks like. All right, so to the rogue set here, um, the most striking aspect of this is going to be the helmet. Obviously, you've got this white cloud effect basically over the face of your character. I'm sure they're going to try to keep this consistent across all races so that you can't see your character's face. Obviously, if you're playing ugly character, this is going to be perfect for you. If you're stuck with a troll, for example, or a gnome, this is going to be perfect. But overall, pretty cool. Again, lots of 3D texture on the sides. You can see this kind of developing with a lot of the sets. Um, I don't know how well this plays into the rogue type of transmog. I mean, does this feel like a rogue to you? Does this seem like a rogue? The shoulders, although pretty snazzy, I mean, you can see from the rear here, the shoulders being snazzy doesn't look like what you would expect on a rogue, right? Rogues are supposed to be this ninja type of class most of the time. These elements of stealth do not come through with this set. So overall, low marks for class identity, but I think I think rogues who aren't cringe lords and just kind of want a cool set to look at and aren't interested in um, class identity with their transmogs, I think I think they'll end up liking this. And of course, the helmet will probably, I mean, with the different colorations, be tweaked to be fit with other transmog sets that people really like because the helmet itself is a really cool concept, and they should do more of this. All right, now to Shaman. Now, the preview of this on Wowhead is on an orc, which is pretty rough because most of these have been on humans. Let's go ahead and take a look here. I mean, I think pretty much all of these have been on humans up till now. So seeing one on an orc is a bit of a doozy, but I like the decision because shamans, of course, originally being orcs on the horde, you get a good idea of kind of what you're going to be looking at. The only downside, of course, is that orc shoulder pads tend to be massive, and it kind of accentuates in these photos the worst part of the set, which is the shoulders. But overall, the textures are amazing. Obviously, this helmet is incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's a home run set. It's a home run set. I don't know about the scales part. They already did that with the hunter. I don't think that was necessary, but maybe these scales are playing into an element inside Xerath Morthus, some kind of dragon or whatever that you encounter in the open world. Or since this is obviously a sepulchre set, right, with the mythic thing, there could be some kind of element of a dragon or um, something cool that plays into the idea that a lot of these mail armor sets should have scales on them. Um, but overall, pretty cool. And I guess this could be determined as not actually being scales. It could just be, um, like a scale mail design, but not actually be scales, right? So, but overall, pretty cool. I like the shaman set a lot. I think that if you are a shaman, you're not going to be upset with this set. All right, moving on to the set that you will definitely be upset by, and there will be varying reasons why you might be upset. Number one, the obvious point is this hood from the rear is what's a good way to put it? Controversial. There was a press release pretty much immediately after the outrage that was posted by a lot of people online saying this looked like a KKK hood. Um, Now that's objectively true. It absolutely looks like a KK hood, right? It's white, it's pointy. Not a good look by Blizzard, especially with all the controversy that's been going around in the game lately. Um, yeah, and also the statement from Blizzard, saying, "Oh, we didn't have a chance to review it before we posted it, or it didn't go through the typical steps." That's all BS, right? The people who are working on these tier sets, the actual art for it, they're looking at this from every angle. It just didn't click in someone's mind, I don't think, or they were just incredibly insensitive to the possibility that this could be controversial. But looking at the rest of the set, I don't like the shoulders. I really like the belt that this is implementing, but I don't think that the belt itself is a warlock esque belt, right? It doesn't. It looks cool, but why is it on a warlock, right? There's nothing really about warlocks that call for this sphere type pattern. I would expect this more on like a monk or something. And of course, I really like the design of the robe, right? I don't know if it plays into warlock whatsoever. Definitely doesn't seem to, but the coloration of the set's really cool. And I think once because they've already announced they're going to edit the helmet in some way. I'm assuming they're going to try to draw down the pointiness of it so that it's not just a straight up and down point. I'm sure that will um, that'll make some people feel better. But the hood being fixed is one thing. I think it's a good idea just to avoid the controversy. But also, uh, I think that is an incredibly important point to make that the shoulders are the worst set or the worst part of the set. Right. Overall, I think probably my least favorite. All right, so the warrior, taking a look at the last set here, is pretty cool. I mean, you look at the helmet; it's very warrior esque, right? You've got the face shield going on here. This very bold top of the helmet. Um, the shoulders obviously look really cool. I want to see what this animation looks like in game. It looks like this is just some kind of superheated metal, and there is some kind of heat wave coming off of it. Obviously, looking pretty darn awesome. I like the 3D textures on the chest piece here. The belt is passable. The gloves are fine. The boots are fine. Everything about the set looks good. Um, with the shoulders and the helmet with this type of animation here, this heat wave animation, um, making it look pretty darn cool. So overall, if I had to rank these, S tier, I think Paladin is probably in the S tier here. I think this is about as good as it gets if you're a Paladin. Feel free to leave a comment if you disagree. I think Shaman could be S tier if the shoulders were better. But instead, they're going to go down to the A tier with Warrior. I think Warriors are A tier with the Shamans. And I think the majority of the other sets will go down to B tier. Death Knights in B tier, Demon Hunter, Druid. Those two, though, Demon Hunter and Druid, that's if you omit the helmet from them. Otherwise, the set looks much worse. Just don't equip the helmet, guys. Hunters in B tier, mages like low B. They need to do something about the 3D textures. It needs a little bit more work, right? It just needs something extra. Uh, Monk is in B tier. I'll say this though, high B tier, reaching up into A. I really like this monk set. I really do. Um, yeah, priest is probably B tier. Rogue is B tier. I think really the only C tier I'm going to give is Warlock, and it's not even because of the hood. They'll fix the hood. It's because of these shoulders. You know, I don't even know what a. It's just this weird sloping and the textures on them. It just looks weird. And I'm trying to think of what it actually reminds me of, like a court jester. Jester. I don't know. It's like someone you'd laugh at. Let's just all gang up and laugh at the Warlocks if they equip this set. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Thanks for watching my review, my reaction to the Mythic tier sets for the Spulker of the First Ones raid. Should be an absolute banger. I'll have a video coming out as soon as I start testing it on the PTR. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the views, and as always, have a good one.